Hello everyone, welcome to the Daley Doodle YouTube channel, a place for creatives like yourself to learn all about freelancing, starting a business and publishing your creative projects. My name's Dale, and in this episode I'm going to talk to you about how I made $3,000 of commissioned work at a conference. So a lot of people think, are conferences worth the money? It is a big investment to make, and I appreciate that a lot of the time you can come away thinking, what did I actually get from that? So I'm going to talk you through a story that happened to me back in 2015 that very much made my attendance at this conference worthwhile. So in 2015, I spent the summer in San Francisco, and I ended up attending MozCon, which is one of the biggest digital marketing conferences in the world. My brother works in digital marketing, and we were able to get early bird tickets a year before. So this is something that we very much planned in advance. So one of the first things to think about if you're going to attend the conference is thinking about ways that you can save on being there. Now, there's a number of ways you can do this. One is by signing up for their emails or signing up for their software. Moz, for example, produce SEO software that a lot of digital marketers use. So they offer early bird tickets to their subscribers, my brother being one of them. Another way you can do this is by kind of looking online at Eventbrite, looking online for deals, see if there's any promotion codes you can find. And another thing you can do is just reach out to them directly and see if there's a way that you can come and help out. I know a lot of people that have gone to conferences as part of the staff, of part of a team that help out there, and have ended up getting conference tickets for free in return for work or helping out. So there's a lot of different ways you can go to these really big conferences and save money. And through doing the early bird price, we ended up saving kind of hundreds of dollars, which is really cool. So we get to MozCon, and it's incredible. There's hundreds of thousands even of digital marketers there. It's a 3-day conference based in Seattle. So you learn a lot of good stuff, and there's a lot of really good speakers there. So you're probably thinking, well, Dale, your background's in graphic design and illustration. What exactly are you getting from a marketing conference? And that's kind of where that really gave me the upper hand. So I kind of used this opportunity to get myself this commissioned work by 2 ways. And the first one was being active on Twitter. So often creative people are very shy, very introvert, and it's very difficult to go to a place to network and kind of talk about your skills, talk about what you can offer. People tend to not like people being very sleazy salesmen with them. So what I did was use Twitter. When you go to these conferences, you walk in the front door, as I did in MozCon, you've got this giant room, all these kind of marketers in there, and everyone, the action's happening on Twitter. Everyone is tweeting about what's going on. So I use this to my advantage. I use Twitter to give my voice, and what I realized was I'm in a room full of marketers who work with numbers all the time, and they're not used to seeing anything visual. And what I realized was that as people were talking on Twitter and talking about what's happening and the things they've learned, few people were using anything visual. So what I did was I had my sketchbook with me, and I would draw little kind of funny cartoons about what was going on stage, and kind of like writing takeaways and things that the speakers were saying, and then using that on my Twitter feed. So not only was I a part of the conversation that was happening on Twitter, I was also doing something very different to what other people were doing. A lot of people were picking up on it and then kind of retweeting me and following me, and I ended up gaining a few hundred extra Twitter followers from doing that over the 3 days, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, alongside that, even though a lot of the talks went over my head, I still learned a lot about marketing, which I think is very relevant to all of us. So even though, as I said, a lot of the talks were quite specific to certain marketing strands, and a lot of the jargon did go over my head, I did get a flavor and a feel for a lot of different things that I think are very relevant to me as a designer, an illustrator, a copywriter, a videographer, anyone really who puts their work out online. So the second thing I did then was a lot of these conferences will set up a Facebook group beforehand, and this is an opportunity, again, to use social media to portray your voice and portray your thoughts and feelings without actually having to be in a room all shy and awkward and trying to talk to someone in a kind of salesman-like way, but also not coming across like that. So we all get invited to this Facebook group, and I added myself. And what happened after day 2 was I wrote a blog post, and it was called The Mole of MozCon, and it was all about someone who isn't in digital marketing being at a marketing conference. And I was really nervous. Like, I wrote this thing, and it was very quickly put together. It was quite kind of rough and ready. I posted it on my website at the time. Another thing, always have your website, always have your portfolio handy. So my website at the time had a blog and had lots of different examples of my work. Posted this thing, Mole of MozCon, and it just kind of talked through what it was like being at a marketing conference when you're not into marketing, how I got a lot of value from the conference, some of my favorite talks. And I posted it in the Facebook group. I was really nervous. I thought, oh my word, what are people going to think of me? And what happened was I had over 100 likes. I actually had the marketing director of MozCon even like this post. And what happened was a lot of people were commenting in this Facebook group saying, I can't believe you wrote this. You really resonated with me. I'm a photographer. I'm here. I don't know anything about this. I'm an illustrator. And a lot of people really kind of rallied around this thing, this post that I put out there, which kind of was their voice. What ended up happening then was within this Facebook group of just a few hundred people, an MD of a big kind of SEO-based company, about a couple of days after the conference, ended up messaging me, emailing me directly and saying, I loved your post in the MozCon group. I love your online work, and we would love to commission you to do some infographic work for us. Over the course of the next few months then, that led to $3,000 worth of commissioned work with this company, all from that one post in the Facebook group. So it just goes to show that conferences are big, they're scary, they're overwhelming, but if you play them right, there's a lot of good stuff that you can do at them. Was this a valuable exercise for me? Let's kind of do the math. Okay, so I was in San Francisco at the time, that's a given, but even if I was coming from the UK, let's just kind of say we'll do it from San Francisco. A plane ticket from SF to Seattle, you're looking at about $180. I think I paid return. I booked myself into a really cheap Airbnb, which is a story for another day. It was quite the place I booked into. Was probably, maybe $80, $90. And then just because some general spending. So you're looking at a few $100s worth of investment on top of the early bird tickets, which I believe, MozCon tickets go for a few grand if you really leave it last minute. But at the time, I got in early. I managed to get the tickets for, I think, about $350. So if you add all that up, you're looking around about $600, $700. That investment then got me back $3,000 worth of work. So for me, that was a worthwhile investment, even though the initial outlay was quite large. So to sum up what we've just talked about, let's look at the takeaways. So are conferences in the digital space worth it? Well, number one, if you use the social platforms, for me, that was Twitter and Facebook, to project or inject some creativity into them and kind of show your voice and show your tone via doing that, yes, you will be noticed, people will be intrigued by what you're saying, and you can really kind of gather some momentum with your following and also get a lot of important people attend these things and they can get eyes on you and see what they do. Number two, if you're going to go to these conferences, plan well ahead. So think about, one, how can I bring down the cost of ticket by signing up to their mailing list, purchasing their software for a trial period, getting an early bird ticket, or even just offering up your services in exchange for a discounted ticket, in exchange to talk, if it's that level and you'd be comfortable doing something like that, or even just helping out to the conference as well. You can get in these places at a very affordable fee and kind of get your money's worth. And finally, three, don't be afraid to write about these things. Don't be afraid to put yourself in front of the audience and give your views on things, talk about your experiences, and you will find you will resonate with people. People are really shy at these conferences. It's so difficult to just kind of approach someone and talk to them. But through social, you have access to all the people that are going to these conferences, and it's very easy to send someone a tweet. It's very easy to send someone a Facebook message, and just kind of like post your 2 bits in whatever social channels you're using. And that way you can eliminate that fear of, I have to go up and talk to people directly. So that was how I used a marketing conference to get $3,000 worth of commissioned work. I hope you've got some ideas there of how you could do something similar, and kind of put your skills and ideas out there for something that would be very much worth the investment in the first place. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any similar experiences or any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And until next time, keep at it, guys.